Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jimbo. Welcome to this episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I think this is going to be episode 355. I'm not sure if I want to turn this into a daily detail tip yet or use it as a podcast episode. The reason why, I think it's going to extend a little bit longer than like the under 5-minute range. And I'm on my way to a client's house right now, so I had some time and thought, you know what, this would be a great time to record a podcast episode for Monday. So why don't we just roll with that and we'll go there. This episode is brought to you by autofiber.com. And is it too early to start talking about SEMA? SEMA's coming up. It actually falls right on Halloween this year. Actually, the 30th through the 2nd, I believe it is. That's October 30th through November 2nd in Las Vegas, Nevada, or Nevada. I don't know. Everyone says it differently. I will be there. That is a Tuesday through Friday. I will be there Tuesday through Thursday. And the awesome part is Autofiber is actually going to be having a booth there. So I'm going to kind of use that similar to what I attempted to do last year. Use that kind of as a home base and kind of branch out from there. So there's really nothing more I like than meeting up with people who listen to the podcast, like-minded people, hanging out with them, having a good time with them. So if you were going to be at SEMA, I'd love to meet up, love to shake hands, love to take a picture, chat it out a little bit. I'd love to do all that. I really, really enjoy that. And you can probably catch me at the Autofiber booth or just walking around through the halls. Autofiber is in the main hall this year. I don't have their booth number, but honestly, I don't think that really matters. I don't know if people go by that. Just the detailing section is relatively small at SEMA, so I'm sure you will see them. They're going to be there with American Detailer Garage, Autofiber, myself, probably some other people, and I'm hoping I think there's going to be a couch or some sort to record some podcast episodes there, so I look forward to that. So anyway, so if you're going, let me know, message me, we can meet up while we're there. That's usually the best way. If you message me and tell me you're going to be there, that's awesome, but I'll probably tend to forget, and so if you message me when you're there or whatever, that's, hey, I'm by this booth or that booth or whatever. It's usually the best way to go about it. Anyway, today's episode, I want to talk about how to raise your prices in a detailing business. Now, I realize if you're a driveway detailer, sometimes that has a negative connotation. If you're a at-home enthusiast, this may not pertain to you, but there was another quick tip that I'm about to record probably after this episode that has to do with always having a side hustle. Let me take a sip of coffee. So if you are just a DIYer doing it for fun because you love it on your own cars, why not do a neighbor car or a couple of neighbors' car or a friend's car and make some extra cash and have a little side hustle? That's how I started. It was just a little side hustle. I was working at a restaurant, little side hustle detailing. I was 19, thought, man, could I turn this into a business? And then slowly worked up that way, and it became what it is today. But and maybe you don't want to do that, and if you just love detailing your own cars and you're obsessed about it, this episode may not pertain to you at all, and for that I'm sorry, but you could jump on one of the other almost 400 podcast episodes. Or stick around, because I think it may pertain to any business, really. So the question gets brought up a lot, and it's definitely circled around the industry of, there's so many detailers in my area. There's all these people that want to charge $20 for a detail, $99 for a full detail. Oh no, a car wash is open down the street and they're offering, early bird specials at $3 or $5. How do I combat this? Or how do I charge a premium in my area? How do I raise my prices to my customers? And so first, what I want to say is I don't have a grip on how to raise prices for existing clients that use me on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis. So in fact, the client's house I'm going to right now, I've been doing his cars 10 years. I've never once raised the price on him. And that's probably a fault of mine, to be honest and transparent. That's probably a major fault. The problem is that I've gotten other services out of his cars. So I've coated all his cars. I've done his friends' cars, his family's cars. I've gotten a lot of referrals out of him. So I kind of take that as my increase in pay. And to be totally frank, he would probably pay me more if I told him. My thing is, I just feel like it's extremely awkward to have that conversation with an existing client that has been with me for as long as 10 years. So to me, it's just uncomfortable. Now, I don't think everyone will have that viewpoint, and I think some people will be completely comfortable with having that awkward conversation with their client. Me personally, for existing clients that have been with me for a long time, that use me on a regular basis, I do not raise their price. The regular clients that I do raise the price for are customers that have used me in the past, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe a handful of times, but I haven't talked to them in months. I am completely comfortable with raising the price on them. So, and how I do it is I just tell them the price is higher, or I just say, hey, it's been a few months, I need to see the car, or usually by that time, they're using me again because they've gotten a new car. So it may be, hey, that's a new car, I need to quote it out properly, and I have had some people go, whoa, it's $95 now or $65 for a car wash. What happened to the $30 car wash? And it's like, if they do bring that up, I explain to them, look, I can't make a living washing cars for $30 because, let me tell you, I did it. I did it for a long time, $20, $30, even down to $15 for a car wash, because I had to do what I had to do. And that's why sometimes I preface these podcast episodes with, look, if you're in dire straits, like you need clients today, and you got to do what you got to do. Don't listen to the internet trolls that probably aren't running businesses saying that you should be doing $65 car washes. Do a $15 car wash if you need money, man. If you need to put food on the table, you need to pay rent, you got to do what you got to do and forget the market. Go out there and do what you got to do today to take care of your family. I'm a huge fan of that because I've been there. And now I'm also at the point of doing $65 car washes or $85 car washes or $100 glorified car washes or whatever. So I've been to both spectrums, and I'll tell you, it's really awkward to charge someone $65 to wash their sedan when I used to charge $65 for a wash, clay, and wax. So granted, many years have passed, but that is the spectrum that I've been on of kind of that whole range, right? So it is awkward to be there, but you can do it, and it can happen. And I'll tell you what, a little derail here, a little rabbit trail, is that, and I know a lot of people talk about it, but because I'm living it, I want to give some back end insight, is that when you charge more, and I think the basis is when you charge more, all it comes down to is a confidence thing. How confident are you that you can actually get the money that you're asking for? I don't think it comes down to like you're an exceptional paint correction specialist, you're an exceptional coating installer. Ooh, I got another quick tip about that too, and hopefully a video about a DIY coating installation gone wrong. I really honestly don't think it comes down to your skill set. I think it comes down to the confidence that you have to demand the price that you want, which could come from your skill set, being confident that you can achieve a level of clean detail that you are saying you can. So I do think in a roundabout way, the confidence does come from your ability to clean something or detail a car. But really what it comes down to when you're demanding a price or when you're raising your prices is the confidence to go through that. And I will tell you, because I have firsthand experience and I've run the gamut of pricing is by far the hardest thing to do. And the reason why I think it's the hardest thing to do is because detailing is mainly you're selling yourself. I mean, realistically, our product costs are next to nothing. And so your price determines how much you want to make. And so that's extremely hard because and being a passion-driven industry, that for the most part, you would probably do it for next to nothing. If you had all your bills paid for and everything taken care of, you would probably detail cars for free because we just like being around cars, right? So, but the problem is most of us aren't in that circumstance. Most of us are in the circumstance of, detailing cars for a living because we want to eat and pay the bills, and we have families and stuff like that. And we want the nice car. We just don't want to detail the nice car, right? So anyway, to raise prices, that was another sip of coffee. To raise prices, what it comes down to is just seeing the value in your service, and this could take a long time. But I want to raise some bullet points to hopefully help you with doing this. So I live in Southern California. I don't know if there's a more saturated area. I would say from probably, well, I don't really know what it's like in Northern California, but, I would say from maybe all of California, but definitely the lower coastland, Southern California, which would include, I guess Santa Barbara South. I don't know if there's a more impacted area of mobile detailers, car detail shops, car washes, DIY, pay to spray booths, or places. I really don't know. I would say the competition is between Starbucks, gas stations, and either car washes or, pay to spray places, let alone detail shops and mobile detailers that run around like friggin' ants, right? So I don't know if there is a more saturated area than where I live. Maybe there is, and I could be totally wrong, but since this is where I live and this is kind of my reality, I'll just speak to what I know. That there are no shortage. How about that? There is definitely no shortage of places for people to go to either have their car detailed or detail their own car. Granted, there's a major influx of cars as well. So, I'm driving on the freeway right now, and there's literally probably thousands of cars on the road. And in fact, there's a truck holding, 10 cars right there. But so I don't even think that every detailer around could meet the demand if everyone wanted their cars done. But I did definitely play the rat race of looking at other people's websites, other detailers' websites, and charging whatever they charge to stay competitive in my market. And then if people called and said, "Oh, that's a little high, can you do it for less?" I'd be like, "Yeah, of course, we could work a deal." Or, I would always fold, or maybe not always, but a lot of the time I would fold into saying, "Yeah, of course, like, okay, maybe I'm a little bit expensive," and I would use that to judge my pricing. The problem is I started to get to a point where I was too busy. I was working too hard. I'm doing cars for $15 a car on Wednesdays. Sure, I was doing it at Carl's Jr. corporate offices, but who cares, right? That gets old. It's kind of like doing the Lambo for $20. It's like, well, sure, I'm doing a Lambo, but I'm only getting $20. I mean, it just freaking gets old after a while, And so, but I started to pick up on a few key things, and this is what I want to talk about today. Why does the customer always say how prompt I am? And sometimes they're even surprised when I show up at our set appointment time. Well, that's because their last detailer either stopped showing up, couldn't show up on time, or literally flat out lied about when they were going to be there. How crazy is that? Like the number one thing that I see, the main mistake that I see detailers in my local market doing to customers is not showing up at the time they said the appointment was. One of my better clients right now, they pay me, in my book, an obscene amount of money for what I do to their car every month. They had a previous detailer that just couldn't show. They're a very wealthy power couple, extremely busy, own multiple successful businesses, and they just want their cars cleaned. Price was never really an issue to them. They just wanted their cars cleaned. And they tipped me very well for it. And all they said they wanted was someone to show up the same day at the same time. That's it. They didn't even mention like, hey, windows are kind of our thing, or we like tire shine or don't like tire shine or whatever. They said, do your thing. Do whatever you got to do. We just want the dust knocked off our car. Are they worried about swirl marks? No, they're not. They've never mentioned it. right? I got 3 black cars, swirled to heck. They don't even care, right? Never mentioned it. Because they just want the dust knocked off. They want the windows clean and the tires shiny and the rims to have no brake dust, and they want it done every week, right? So it's just crazy to me that the other detailer stopped showing up. And the reason why, to be fair, he probably stopped showing up was he wasn't making any money at it. He was probably charging them $20 a car, right? And he thought, man, I think what happens a lot in talking with other detailers, what happens and the patterns I've seen is this. A detailer will use a really cheap price to get a lot of clients, right? So they're the cheapest detailer around. And they do someone's cars, but then what starts to happen is they get tired of doing cars for so cheap, and then because they've done cars for so cheap, their kind of word of mouth spreads around really quickly, so they're getting busier and busier, and so they slowly start to creep up their prices, and then they'll get a call for a $150 detail on a set day that they're supposed to go to a regular, and they're going, okay, I can go to that regular and make $60, or I can go do this one-off detail for $150, not thinking that their regular client actually pays them more money over the long term, which is a whole separate conversation. So they go do the car for $150, leave their regular client high and dry, and then the regular client that got left high and dry is like, damn it, I need my car cleaned this week. Like, where's my guy? And then the guy's probably embarrassed and doesn't have a good excuse of why he didn't show up other than he made more money somewhere else, and therefore he just doesn't go back, doesn't call the client, doesn't do anything like that. So, there was another sip of coffee. Hold on, one more. So, what I've also noticed is that when you are higher priced, you get a higher clientele, which are usually busier people that just have needs that they need met and are willing to pay people, not regardless of price, but pretty much without a price consideration. And so, you know, I had a client this past week, had a great, nice, brand new trailer, a brand new Silverado, super nice, just had a need. He needed the stickers removed from the truck, no emblems, just the stickers on like the back bed. And he wanted all the stickers removed from the trailer. There was about probably a dozen little tiny stickers. It wasn't fully wrapped or anything like that. And then wanted them both washed and waxed. Now, this is insane to me. I quoted him a price. He increased the price. He offered more money than I quoted him, and then said, it's just because I want a good job. I want you to make sure that you're well taken care of. That's what he said. And I was like, you know what? That is such an honorable, awesome thing, because to me, what I had quoted him, I already thought was kind of high, to be honest. And he went above and beyond that. And so, and then the nicest guy in the world he was. A super nice guy. He, in fact, brought everything to me. I did it right at my house. He didn't ask too many questions. I'm assuming that he did a ton of research on me. Maybe found the podcast, maybe found the YouTube channel, and thought I was a reputable class act guy, which, toot my own horn there, but I am. And I deliver on a good work. I deliver a good result to the client. So sometimes the clients will charge more to themselves just because they equate that to doing a good job. They equate paying a premium to a good job. But here's the thing I think about. As a detailer, we are offering a luxury service. We are offering a premium service. Therefore, we need to charge accordingly because everyone is not our client. We don't want to do every car ever. Sometimes you do, but most of the times you don't. I don't. I've been in the position where I wanted to do everyone's car. That gets old and tiring, and then you get to the point where you don't really want to do anyone's car. That's not true either. But you want to do a very select group of people's car. And the more select you get, the more demand comes upon your business because your supply is less. And the supply and demand factor is an age-old factor that rings true even to your detailing business. The more demand you have, the less supply you have, and what does that do? That raises prices. And we see this across multiple industries and multiple facets, from sneakerheads to cars to art to watches to jewelry to a plethora of things. When the demand is high and the supply is low, the price skyrockets, right? We see that with vintage cars, old cars, and they go in cycles all the time, according to the supply and demand. You need to factor that into your own business, because I see all these guys, and some of them are in the detailer inner circle, and they're just wiped out. They're booked months and months out, which to me is the most ridiculous thing ever. If you're booked 2 months out, you're underserving yourself. You should double your prices, be booked out a month, and be making double the amount of money. That just seems rational to me. So if you're booking far out, you need to raise your prices because your demand is really high. I mean, it seems obvious. So that's another way to raise prices is if you're booked out really far in advance, raise your prices. It's very simple. With that client example, he actually, said, "Hey, I'll give you more," which was awesome, especially on a sticker removal and a wash and wax. And it came out phenomenal, and he was super stoked and said he would use me again and use me for his wife's car and all that. And that's where it's at. And I think that's the dream of where we all want to get to. And really what it comes down to is having the confidence to demand that level of that price. That's really what it comes down to. It's just a confidence thing. So whether you gain your confidence by doing a lot of cars, whether you gain that confidence by going to trainings, whether you gain that confidence by joining the detailer inner circle, whether you just are born with the confidence, or here's one, just start testing it out. Every quote, keep your regular clients and charge whatever you have established to charge them. But for new quotes that come in, start by raising that price $20 or $25 or $50. That's what I slowly did. So, wash and wax started out at $65, and then when then it went to $85, and then it went to $95, and now it's $125 or $150, or, interior details started out at $95 and then went to $105, and then went to, I had this weird obsession with always ending in a 5. And I think it's because I was trying to build in a tip, because most people don't have $5 bills. They only have like 10s or 20s. And so I think that's why I ended up on the 5, always ending in a 5. I'm not really all that sure, to be honest. But it was 95, then 105, then 115, then 125, then 135, then 145. And now I'm sounding like an auctioneer. But I just slowly, every time, started raising the price. And now I really don't even have set prices or set packages, because every car is so different. And that's what I explain to clients. And if they are a past client and they said, "Man, last time, your interior detail was $95, why is it $150 now?" It's like, well, you have a different car, or, I really just am short on time. And when you explain it in a decent fashion, most clients will understand. And I'm telling you, because I'm living it right now, the more you charge, the better of a client you get. The better of a client you get, the more you charge. In most cases, 95% of the time. Now, I am dealing with, when you get into the coding market, that's where this kind of falls off, at least for now, because you are charging a premium. You're charging $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $5,000, whatever, and some of the time that is a stretch for that client. They just want a car coating. And so that's where this would there's always going to be the outliers. There's always going to be the fringe people that are different. But I'm saying from experience that the majority of the time, people that you charge a premium to respect it and are a better client to deal with. So let's recap a few ways to raise prices. And really it all comes down to is just do it, right? So increase them slowly, incrementally. Whether that be $10 at a time, $5 at a time, $50 at a time, whatever that may be, to new clients. And then kind of testing your market to see where you may fall. You may fall in the $150 range or whatever. Another way to do it, and I think the basis and the foundation of it is is that you need to have the confidence to demand that higher price. And sometimes the confidence comes from your ability to detail, and also your ability to get that dollar amount for that detail. So you may want to incrementally raise prices to help you build your confidence to know that you can demand that dollar amount for that detail. So you may want to slowly, incrementally charge more, because that'll build your confidence when you go from 95 to 125 for the same service, and you get that time after time after time. That will slowly build your confidence that you can actually get that 125. So then you will never go back to the 95 because you can get the 125. Why wouldn't you make the extra $30? And another way to do it is to do without set packages. Set packages, it's like filling a round hole with a square peg, right? Or whatever that saying is. Maybe I butchered that a little bit. So, quote every car individually. That's how you can raise prices too. Every car is different. The wear and tear on every car is different. And you can just explain that to the client. I don't have set packages because every car is different. Every car wears differently, is treated differently, is exposed to the elements differently. How can I have set packages when every car is so different? It's not fair to the client. It's not fair to you. Because, and this is how I always make it, it's really not fair to the client, because say you're a single person and you want a full detail. Well, no one ever sits in your back seat. It just needs a vacuum, not a shampoo. Why am I going to charge you to shampoo the back when it looks like no one has ever sat back there in the life of the vehicle? That's not fair to you. Wouldn't you rather have me spend more time or dedicate more resources to the exterior of the car then? And every client's like, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense. So there, I'm not gonna fit you in a round hole when you're a square peg. That wouldn't make sense. So that's another way to raise prices. But again, kind of the reoccurring theme that's just going on in my head is it all comes back down to confidence. Having the confidence to demand that higher price. And however you want to build that confidence, it may be through getting certified. It may be that, you know what, I have all these qualifications now, therefore I can charge more. Fair enough. It may be through just doing it. Fair enough. So I think what you would need to work to is whatever you need to build that confidence to demand that higher price is where you need to work on. And then maybe doing more cars. So with that said, and not being scared really is the gist of it too. Don't be scared. There's plenty of cars. I think a lot of us detailers do work from a position of fear, and fear that we're gonna, be homeless, living on the street, with no cars to do. And the thing is, you could always lower your price, right? So I've talked about that before too. Worried about if the economy turns and it's not as strong as it seemingly is right now, and it's like, you know what, I could always charge less. I started this thing in 2008, and what's funny is in 2008, a high majority of my client work was swirl mark removal. It seemed like no one knew how to remove swirl marks. I'm not talking about spider webbing. I'm talking about buffer-induced true swirl marks. Seemingly no one knew how to do it, so that was what I was doing all the time, was removing swirl marks with my swirl remover compound and a DA, because I couldn't afford a rotary yet. So I had a little cheap DA. So there's always a market for it. I would just work on building your confidence to demand that higher price tag, and start it today. Start raising your prices $5 or $10, $20. And if you feel confident enough, and maybe this is where I'm not yet, because this is still a journey for me, is being confident enough to raise prices with existing clients that have been with me forever. I just don't feel comfortable with that. I don't feel confident enough yet to do that to my regular clients that have shown such loyalty to me. But again, that could be a flaw. I don't know. So let me know what your biggest struggles are with raising your prices and your biggest struggles in your detailing business. I'd love to kind of chat about that, because I feel like we do all share some of the same struggles and insecurities and all that. So without further ado, but that wouldn't make any sense because I'm wrapping this episode up. So I'm at my client's house, or actually right down the street. So I'm going to end this episode, but I feel like 30 minutes straight of me talking would only work in a podcast format. So I appreciate you listening to me ramble. Hopefully this was of value to you. If it was, write me a message. Let me know what your thoughts were on that. See ya.